So I just got done watching just over an hour's worth of networking talk about Ashes creation. Now, this I didn't think would interest me, but given the direction of the way Ashes is going, being a large-scale open-world PvP game, it really runs me back to my Guild Wars 2 World v World days. Now, this is the core reason why I'm excited about this particular video. Now, I'm going to do my best to regurgitate everything that I took on board today. Now, a lot of it I probably will relay to you not perfectly, so I'll put a link to the actual video below if you haven't seen it yet. But I'll do my best to explain what I understood from the information that we got today. So they essentially broke the stream down into these 5 categories. The first one was the meshing. Now, to probably most of us, meshing in my eyes was as you cross a border in a game, you know that you're crossing a border. So take PAX Day most recently. When you cross one of those red borders, you lag out. When a person crosses the border in front of you, they disappear. You know you're crossing a border. Now, throughout a lot of this video, throughout a lot of their stream today, they showed their characters interacting, casting skills, casting abilities across these borders. Now, what they're essentially doing is, and the way my brain understood this was, imagine your character has all these individual parts. Imagine it's a very layered character. Imagine it's a Photoshop file with 10 different layers. What they're essentially doing is flattening that character, turning it into a JPEG, and then just taking away all of the detail, all the different objects that makes up your character, and making it a flat thing. So it's projecting the base image to the other player. So yeah, I'm on one side of the border, you're on the other. To me, you are looking like a flat image, and to you, I am looking like a flat image. So they've called them proxies. So essentially they're removing all of the objects to allow the data to be transferred quickly, up into the servers, let's call it, and then down back to the player. So the player has a very seamless interaction with one another. Now, the technology behind this is something that these guys have been building. They said they've been working on this for 4 years. These guys are smart, man. Like, I can't even comprehend what's gone on, but that's how my brain has understood it. Now, if we roll back to those Guild Wars 2 days, it seemed to work quite well. And look at Throne and Liberty. It seems to work. Throne and Liberty are doing a very good job, whatever they're doing. But the way these guys have explained it today is that you could have 100 people on either side of the border, and essentially it would work seamless. Now, they did say that these borders are dynamic borders, which are, like, I don't think we've ever seen before. So if 1,000 people go into one particular zone, and the majority of people in the top right, they will break that zone down into smaller servers. So there's less load on particular servers at a time. Now, they did say this is an expensive thing to do, obviously having all the different servers ready to boot up and to create these dynamic meshed borders. But what it eliminates is that layering. So you would have seen it on PAX Day as well, and most MMORPGs, to be fair, where you could be in the same place as your friend, but you're essentially on different floors. So I'm on floor 1 and you're on floor 2. And we can talk. I remember this. Conqueror's Blade keeps ringing a bell. Yeah, anyway, there's different layers, different floors. But the whole idea of this is that we won't see any of this. It was just them talking to us about the technical side. We won't see any of this. Our experience should, assuming it all works as they are displaying it, completely seamless. We won't know where the borders were. We won't know where these dynamic borders are appearing. We'll probably have an idea in our head, but we won't know, and that's all due to this tech that they're building and essentially creating flat JPEGs of your character. It's not a JPEG, but the analogy, creating a flat JPEG of your character and just showing me that rather than showing me every different individual particle of your character is allowing us to cross these borders seamlessly. Now, one part of this was showing the typical server meshing solution, where all the servers essentially feeding to what they've called a replicator to show the different characters on the different servers. But they've changed the way they're doing this, and they've removed the need of a replicator, which is essentially their bottleneck, and then they're just getting the servers to talk to each other. So there's no need for these bottlenecks. Now, you've probably seen this in many games, but this way of dealing with it, I've seen what I feel is similar in other games. Take New World, for example. Some of you guys will recognise this experience in New World. Now, the next slide here is the servers that are gridded side by side. I remember when I was in Windswood, hundreds of people would be complaining that they'd crashed out in Everfall, they're both being towns, right? One town next to the other would crash. So it felt like this is a relatively normal way of doing things, but they are just expanding on how it's working and how seamlessly this works between one another. The next level of what they're doing is because the servers are going to be talking to one another, aka if there is a grid of 8, you won't be able to talk from the top right grid to the bottom left grid. There's no way for that to communicate because they're not going through the replicator. So they've essentially created a solution to a problem, and now they have created a problem that they need a solution to. So this is the solution to the next part. Instead of it going side by side and in like this, they're going from they're essentially creating they're going from the top, so they're now working vertically. So as their display here is, they've got a layer of clouds, and they're taking the information from the bottom left or the top right grid or server, and they're now talking to the bottom right or the top left. They're essentially going a distance with this information. And the big thing that I saw was how you can see your players on a map. Now, in a lot of their dev videos, especially the Node Wars, you could see all of the players on the map seamlessly, and it was very cool. And this is how this is happening. They have this service. Well, they've called it microservices. I mean, just all I can think of is microtransactions, but they've called it microservices, where there's node service, guild service, mail service, artisanship service, and then social service. The main thing really for me was being able to see across see across the servers, and what they're essentially doing is, from their example, they can see every NPC, every gatherable, and every player essentially in real time through this. They've called it Shoal's Eye, and it's just wicked. And the reason that this is exciting me is because I have been longing for a game like World v World, like Guild Wars 2 World v World, for a long, long time. I've gone through this to New World to TNL, but these guys are promising what we can see as super large scale open world PvP, and this is essentially how they're doing it. Now they finished off the they finished off the live stream by talking about replication and then the ping times. Now this is the bit that really confused me, but essentially this is how responsive your character is going to feel during the action combat or during the combat in the game. They did a large scale bot test. It sounded like it went quite well, but this is where the smaller servers are going to come into play as well. But yeah, this bit was a little bit over my head, so I'm not going to talk too much on it. But essentially, instead of pinging the entire the TLDR, from what I understood, was instead of pinging the entire map, because they're using this gridding meshing system, it's only pinging the areas that were around the character or around you as a player, which is essentially creating a better response time, less load on the servers, and essentially making it all in all a much better system for you as a player. Now, rolling back to the whole concept of this is a large-scale open-world PvP game where you're going to have massive PvX boss fights. Like, do you remember the massive dragons in Guild Wars? Oh, they were just phenomenal. Just hundreds of people coming together to fight. This is what they're planning to do. And this is where, in my opinion, New World fell short, because they just didn't try to evolve on what was an amazing open world experience at the start. Yeah, give it all the bugs and shit, but these guys are fighting for that, and I am so behind it. This was such a great update, albeit very techy. It's like, okay, they are figuring out a way to have super large scale battles in the open world seamlessly. It's very, very exciting. And yeah, albeit I don't really understand the tech behind it, I can imagine how fun it's going to be as a player. So they finished up, which wasn't on this particular YouTube video, but on their Twitch stream, by saying that they're going to be opening up Alpha 2 purchases again. Now, this opens a whole big can of worms. Every time we talk about the pricing, there is a massive discussion that happens on Twitch. The way I see this is, again, you are not buying a game, you're investing in the development team. I mean, you can play the game, but essentially you are investing. You're not buying to play, right? And I do remember hearing on one of their live streams, and the reason the pricing is quite high is because they want to get rid of people like me, to be honest, who will go into the game, give a little bit of feedback, but essentially just play the game for what it is and experience it for what it is. But a lot of people's mindset these days isn't I'm buying into a test, I'm just buying a game. If I spend $250, I expect a bloody good game. Regardless of the messaging that the devs give, that's the reception that a lot of people give. So putting that price high makes sense. Do remember that when you're buying into this, you are also buying game time. Should the game release in the year 3000, you can pass on your investment into Ashes of Creation to your children, who can then play the game for 6 months without paying a sub price. That's essentially what you're buying as well. Anyway, I've probably done a pretty shitty job of explaining that. If you guys have any more maybe core information or ways to put this into layman's terms that I've maybe explained badly, please drop a comment. I am very, very excited for this. I cannot believe it's going to be dropping a similar time to Throne and Liberty. You bastards. I wanted to play both of you. But we'll probably do a lot of TNL because it'll be kind of finished PvP ready to go large scale. And then this will be, I'll probably split my days half and half, to be honest with you. I'm so excited for both of them. But yes, that was a little bit of a TLDR, layman's terms, idiot, 2 small brain cells here, POV on the dev talk that went out. Now, I don't normally cover these, but this one's made me super excited purely because of the large scale. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So I will be covering Ashes, probably not every dev update, but stuff that gets me excited. Especially since we're on the road, we're kind of doing a little bit more van life. So if you want to check out the Vanlife channel, description's below as well. But yeah, super excited for Ashes. Link to our Discord's below. We're going to start recruiting and looking forward to really playing with you guys on Ashes. So good shit. Keep it up and see you on the next video. You.